back to the One Celtic fans view. I'm a big believer that when you get knocked down, you get straight back up and you get on with it. It's a way that I've lived my life, and I think that's the way that we should do it today, because let's face it, we were all disappointed yesterday after that result. After, I think it was the 15th consecutive cup final that we'd been in, with 15 cup finals, and it was the first one that we'd lost. It was a strange feeling, and now we know what it's like to be Rangers. Now we know what it's like to be Rangers. To all the Rangers fans who came on and tried to spam the channel yesterday, get up, you specky thinking bastard. Now we know what it's like to be one of yous. Well, not really, because we won a double. We won a double. We won a double. We did win a double. There's a bit of, Brendan Rodgers obviously spoke about it after the game yesterday. Spoke about the impending summer. And one of the things that I picked up yesterday also is the fact that Celtic are obviously still in talks with Greg Taylor. They've left it up with him. But a worry for me going into the summer transfer market is that we want to try and keep Jeffrey Sloop. And he's not Celtic standard. I don't care. Brendan Rodgers, if we sign Sloop, it's Brendan Rodgers will not sign a new contract, and this is just to get him over the line next year. But there is other talk after the game yesterday. Brendan Rodgers was asked about the summer transfer plans, and does the game yesterday ultimately change his transfer thoughts on the summer? Speaking after the game, Rodgers was asked about it. He said recruitment plans, and he admitted no different to any other summer. I think the result today doesn't change a thing. I spoke during the week and before the game. It doesn't change a thing. We know that we need to strengthen in areas on the field and see how the summer goes. I think for us, we want to strengthen. We do that every summer. It shows the expectation to win the 3 trophies here is very high. It's very much there. We want to embrace that. We always want to look to deliver that. Sometimes we don't. You can't always do it, but something that we definitely think and talk about. It's like I said to the guys, when you stand there and watch the opponent picking up a trophy, you have to show humility. You have to congratulate them and use it as motivation for next season. Remember last season, Rangers team walked off the pitch. Yes, Rangers fans, your team fucked off up the pitch and didn't watch Celtic celebrating. Just remember that. That's enough about them. And Brendan Rodgers went on to say yesterday, I think that we were very slow, we all know that. We played against a back five, a 5-3-2 in the game. A lot of teams will do that against us. You've got to go through it with speed and runs and tempo, and we didn't do that yesterday at all. It didn't feel like it. We didn't create, we didn't break lines, we were very safe, and sometimes that's what finals can bring. We missed Rio Hatate and his ability. Yeah, we did. But there's no creativity. Rio Hatate hasn't turned up for a lot of games during the season, so blaming yesterday's on not having Rio Hatate is pretty poor, if you ask me personally. I think when you look at the game, first of all, we didn't play to our level. It was 2 mistakes in the game. A mistake by the Aberdeen player to put the ball in the back of his net. A mistake by the Celtic goalkeeper to put the ball in the back of his net. It was a terrible final. It's been the year of the underdogs. It's been the year of the underdogs in football. Ange Postecoglou played a back five and a similar way to win the Europa Cup final. Aberdeen play a back five, and some say it's anti-football, but they ultimately would win the game. And when you look at it, what have we learned for the team? But before we talk about what we've learned from the team, I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to jump into the comments section of the people that don't come on the lives. Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of people who come into the comment section, and they're going to have their say on the live for a change. They're going to have their say. So first up, Rodgers signings have been terrible. You think he's getting the backing again for next season? No chance. The Celtic board have been gaslighting fans for years, and you accept it because Rangers are crap. You get to the league title. It's not all about Kyogo leaving. He wanted to go. So does Maida. The only player who gives a toss in the game today was McGregor, and he's done. Casper's fat. Aberdeen just needed their penalties high, and Casper wasn't reaching any of them. They've been practicing that. Open your eyes. Massive overhaul needed. Stop kidding yourself. I've never kidded myself. I've been saying it for the majority of the season. If you go back most of the season, I've said what goes up must come down. So and I just didn't expect it to come down yesterday. But when I seen the team news before the game, I did say there's only 3 players that can come on and change the game, and that was Luke McCowan, James Forrest, and Yang. And when you're looking at the bench and that's the 3 players that are going to come on, it's not a good look at all. It's not a good look whatsoever. I mean, it shows you that this team doesn't have the depth. Get in Aberdeen, what a performance. There we go, we've never seen you on the channel before. AJ Lynn says, all the players should be already be signed by Amateur Rogers. Angie's team was amazing. The majority of that team was actually Angie's team, but never mind. We do have a few good players. Instead, ripped apart and plays like shite. Players in football, it's getting found out. Get a half decent manager. He cannot get players motivated. I always like it how they come out and say he cannot get players motivated. After what he did in the Champions League when we went to Italy and we got that result, when we get the 5-1 against Bratislava, look at it over the course of the season. Take the emotion away from yesterday and let's look. I mean, I know that we're all still pissed off about it, but that's the wrong way to be, because we have to get up and we have to think about everything that's went over the whole season and what we learned about the initial game yesterday, and ultimately what we learned about Brendan Rodgers. Don't tell me he's a Celtic fan. He's absolutely not a Celtic fan. Doesn't act like it. Oh. Worst game ever. Celtic didn't turn up. Was there to win? Yeah, it was that. 100% Rodgers' fault. The guy's clueless. He's getting found out as per usual. The players, his style, pish tactically. He's not got a clue in his head. I wonder if I went back to the comments and doing the Champions League games when we got good results, if the same comment, and I don't mean to pick anybody out, I'm just going through the comments randomly that's on the channel. He's a diddy manager. Brendan Rodgers is a diddy manager. Interesting. Ange is better. This is where I always knew that this would happen. If Ange Postecoglou had lost the Europa final, Ange is 17th in the Premiership. Come on. Ange wanted away. And that's it. End of. Ange told our 2 leaders before the cup final that he wanted away. So I'm no fucking buying this Ange pish. He wanted away. We move on for that. We've got Brendan. All you see is Fabs screaming about empty jerseys, not showing up. Get a grip. We can't win everything. And how we play against the back 10, near impossible. And the referee was shocking. Congrats to the Aberdeen fans. Imagine how they're feeling. Yeah, exactly. We win all the time. It's their first trophy in 35 years. When will be their next? Exactly. Celtic had a really, really bad day at the office. Regardless who lifted the trophy, this was anything but a showpiece. Comment of the day. From the cream of Scottish football. A nice way of saying it was crap. No wonder we're ranked 45th on the on the FIFA Euro table. I wouldn't say that. Jimmy went into the game the exact same way that Ange Postecoglou went into the Europa final. Ange Postecoglou played 5 at the back in the Europa final. So people that saying that Ange is the be all and end all, Jimmy played the same way. Ange played the same way. They played a back 5, back 6 at times. Played 10 right in front of the box. Nobody up the park. They played a system that it's hard to break down. Is it anti-football? Do we need more creative players? To be able to break that down? Yes, and we'll come to that in just a few minutes. Heads up, we never stop. Done well, Aberdeen. That's it. Absolute comedy gold, stuttering idiot, says Mark. Fucking zombie. Stuttering idiot. Yeah. He's probably woke up this morning and given himself a pokey bum wank and shagging his sister. That's what Huns do, isn't it? Calm down, get a grip, man. Oh, Jesus, I feel your pain, McGregor. Shut up, you. What a disgraceful way to go. Me. Says King's Blue. Don't surrender. We win fuck all. We win fuck all. Oh, the we win fuck all. Oh, no, wait. Oh, fuck, how could you forget? Oh, my God, they beat Celtic twice in the season cup. Remember that? The we win Celtic twice in the season cup. Fuck. Anyway, we move on. We're only waiting on a treble. Yeah, well, we're only waiting on a treble. Do you know, it's forever blowing bubbles. It's that Hun again, isn't it? Brendan Rodgers is not an elite manager. A good manager, yes, definitely not an elite manager. What is an elite manager then? Go and tell me what an elite manager is, because when you look at all the clubs around Europe, Manchester United away down the bottom of the league, you know, Real Madrid not winning the league in Spain. What is an elite manager? What does an elite manager achieve every year? Because there's not very many Alex Fergusons in the world, is there? There's not many Alex Fergusons who come in and dominate the game and has the ability to change and reinvigorate a team on a yearly basis, completely change the majority of a team over a 3-year period and can consistently keep on winning and dominating like he did. So what's an elite manager? Is Ange Postecoglou an elite manager for winning Europa but finishing 17th in the English Premiership? Get a grip, man. Honestly, I'm all for people being disappointed, but when it comes to Celtic fans are so fickle, they are so fickle, and it is called the One Celtic Fans View. Before you all come on after the live, and what are you fucking hating the dig at me for, you prick, specky bastard? I don't wear these all the time. I just wear these for the camera. So I think that we need to just take a breath and look at going forward. Yesterday happened. We can't change yesterday. But what we can do today is we can sit and we can look and we can evaluate, as Brendan Rodgers and that will do. And, what does the Celtic team need? What does it need? And I've said this before. Does it need a change of backroom staff? Does Brendan Rodgers need to bring in someone else as a number 2 to help a little bit different tactically? Is there something that needs to change? You can't be a one-man band forever. Alex Ferguson did it. If we're talking elite managers, how many number 2s did Alex Ferguson go through when he was manager of Manchester United? He changed his number 2 every 2 or 3 years. He never had the same assistant manager for his 20-odd years at Manchester United. He consistently evolved and consistently changed his number 2 so that he could get the best out of the players. This is where Celtic's fallen down. Baz, I've seen you in the pub with specs on. No, you've not. Well, you've not even seen me in a pub. Well done to the Dandy boys. Who cares? Nobody mentioned how poor Bernardo was. I think that I mentioned yesterday that there was only 2 players in my eyes that got pass marks, and that was Callum McGregor and the man who wanted to have a fight in the middle of the pitch, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and even he didn't have the greatest game. Can't he be asked for another year passing side to side, back-to-back season? Needs a remake of our style. Oh God, I'm just going to bypass when Ange was here. That's like me saying, do you know what? When fucking Tommy Burns was manager, he was better than them fucking both. Tommy Burns played better football than Ange Postecoglou and fucking Brendan Rodgers. So stick that up your jacksie and smoke it on a Sunday morning. And that's fact. Tommy Burns' football at Celtic was immense. It was brilliant. But he won fucking nada. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, we just jumped through these comments. Carl was a letdown by most of the imposters wearing the hoops. Yeah, Carl was let down by most of the imposters wearing the hoops. Could be a lot worse. Aberdeen won the cup, not the Zombies. We are Scottish champions. The Huns are nothing. Yeah. As bottom line is, we never got a shot on goal all game. Never tested the keeper once. Mikey Boy 67. This is true, and it's hard to when you've got your 10 players sitting in front of the box. We don't have the trickery of someone in midfield like a Nakamura, like a Moravchik. You know, we don't have somebody with the power of a Stilian Petrov in the midfield. You know, we don't have somebody that can take a shot like Paul Lambert from way outside the box to try and... It's a different game. James Smith says, you're right about Tommy Burns, Baz. But hey, Tommy Burns' football was better than Brendan Rodgers and Ange Postecoglou, and I'll stand by that to the day that I die. Tommy Burns' attacking Celtic way of playing was the true Celtic way. Ange Postecoglou was an imposter at Celtic. He's not a hero. Tommy Burns was a hero. So anyway, end of the road for a few players, says Monty. Yep, younger, fresher, more hungrier players. I don't think it's necessarily younger that we need, Monty. I think that we need to bring in some... a little bit experience. I think that we went too far the other way, and that was always a worry when you do that. Look, when we talk about elite managers and what Alex Ferguson did, he completely ripped the team apart and brought through a squad of young players from the B team into Manchester United, and they went on a fantastic run. We don't have that at Celtic. We're trying to bring in players and make them do that within a season. It doesn't work like that. You need a group of players that have been together for a period of time, or you go out and you buy you bring in experienced players that have the fight, that have the hunger to help these younger players. There was nobody do you know, when you're looking at James Forrest and Callum McGregor as your most experienced players on the pitch, well, Brendan Rodgers has caused this himself. And Celtic have caused this themselves with the policy of buying in football players to make them better and sell on. Now, you've got a lot of players that are currently 27, so the age has actually went up this year of the squad. But you've got to remember that most of these players that have been there for 4 years, Daizen Maeda, Rio Hatate, you know, Cameron Carter-Vickers, they're all Ange Postecoglou signings. So, do you know, some of them are coming to the natural end of their lifespan at Celtic. Complacency everywhere, says Doodle. Fair play to you, Baz, for having the brave face for doing a video. Yeah, Mikey boy, it wasn't easy, but I think I was a bit more emotional than I thought about losing the game and having lost. It's the first final that we've lost in a very long time, and it kind of puts things into perspective. But we never stop. You know, we get up and we think about it. Callum says it's going to take a few weeks for him to get over it. You know, his penalty miss, but Callum needs to turn around and say he has to be realistic and say the squad that I've got under me as captain of this club right at this moment is not the same as Scott Brown. It's not the level of quality that Scott Brown had under him when Celtic went on to be invincible captain. The quality of the player is not as good, and let's face it, it's not as good as Brendan Rodgers' first time round, and it's definitely not as good as some other managers. But is this one of those periods of managed decline that I've always spoken about? There is times at Celtic, and I'll say yes. I think that when we look at this season, we have witnessed a period of managed decline. We've reduced the squad, okay? We've reduced the squad size. We've put first team players out on loan rather than just B team players. There's 5 first team players out on loan that could have been called upon, that could have been in the squad. Do you know, Louis Palmer would have been in there, definitely. Stephen Welsh may have been in that. Stephen Welsh probably would have been in that squad actually before Trusty, but it is what it is. You know, you've just got to look at us. Stop blaming Yang Kuhn was a disgrace, and so was Maida. Never turned up. Taylor and Scales were rotten as usual. Don't start me with the keeper. Palmer's pish. If Jota was fit. He would never get a shirt. If Jota was fit, he would get a shirt. User, whatever it is. I love it, the meltdown. Oh, look, there's a wee zombie. Oh, bless them. Popcorn time. Oh, look, popcorn time. The Fiends have got beat. This is great. Oh, fuck. The motherfucking devil! And then away wanking himself to his sister. Oh, Jesus. Subject that. I've had done meltdowns for years. I'm glad it was a little bit of a meltdown. I'd rather have a meltdown. Listen, let's put it into perspective. I'd rather have a meltdown on missing out on a treble than holding up a flag saying treble my arse. Anyway, do you know what I mean? It's the meltdown about missing out on a treble. Put that into perspective. It's all about standards, isn't it? It is all about standards. Our standards are way up here at the end of the day. And that's it. Unfortunate, but winning the double was a great season. Callum has played well this season, but the ball just wouldn't go in today. We need a top-class striker to make a difference. Regroup at the start, again with some freshly badly needed faces for next season. Yeah, I totally get that. What about Kuhn and Ida? Also Scales. Your comments about Taylor were wide off the mark. He was way better attacking option today, and completely anonymous. Ida, how can Adam Ida get space in a box when he's a central, when he's an individual? I'm going to stick up for Adam Ida on this point, right? When you're a solo striker in the middle of the box and you've got 4 defenders around you, what do you expect Adam to do? Really? You know, what do we expect Adam to do? Manchester United, £120 million worth of striker, couldn't do fuck all against 5 at the back, Ange Postecoglou. Let's put that into perspective, people. You know, £120 million worth of striker couldn't do anything against an Ange Postecoglou back 5. Yeah, Adam Ida, who cost $9 million, is fucking absolutely terrible. That's all I'm saying. Let's put it into perspective. No point having a top-class striker if we can't cut through to it and can't get the ball to him. Exactly, Pubcat. Exactly. Just get Taylor away. Fuck. Paul, there's quite a lot of players that I would gladly see away from Celtic after that yesterday, because now that I've given some space time to a lot of the comments, oh dear, your pain is much appreciated. You gotta love it. It's the pain's gone. The pain's gone. That's it. The pain has gone because we won a double. Yeah, we did. You know, we won a double and we're 55 times Scottish champions. So it was a dark cloud. There's a dark cloud that's been there for 13 years. KT's coming. He's a winner. Yes, he is that. He is a winner. Let me just shut down the screen. So what can we take from Brendan Rodgers and the team? Brendan Rodgers says they'll come back remotivated and renew their motivation, said Brendan Rodgers. But when we look at the Celtic squad, why is it not highlighted the whole thing? When you look at the entire Celtic squad, and the first team. Look at the first team. Scott Bain, not near the bench. Sinisalo, I felt sorry for him. I've said for weeks I thought Sinisalo should have played. I think that Sinisalo is a far better player and has far quicker reactions than Kasper Schmeichel. Kasper Schmeichel's a fantastic player in his own right, but he's at the same age that Joe Hart was when he retired, and I can understand why Brendan Rodgers brought him in because Sinisalo was untested, untried at the top level. But when he came in this season, when Kasper was injured, he done fantastically well. Alistair Johnson, you've got to say he had a quiet game yesterday. But he will still be with the club next summer. Greg Taylor will leave. Liam Scales will be with the club next summer, as will Austin Trusty, who, at the money that we paid for Austin Trusty, has been a bit of a letdown. and he's not been able to cement that position with Cameron Carter-Vickers and make it his own. Jeffrey Sloop will leave Celtic also. He's left Celtic as of now. But it's a worry for me that Celtic want to give him a contract. That's managed decline. That's a step backward. At 32-year-old, he's not good enough to make Celtic better. And I think Jeffrey Sloop would be an easy answer. There's something going on at Celtic with the left back position, because it's a position that we haven't filled since Kieran Tierney went away from the club. Now, bringing Kieran Tierney back is a fantastic thing for next season. But I think that Jeffrey Sloop, sorry big man, but you're just not going to make Celtic better. And bringing him as a squad player is just wrong. Mark Norowski, well, he was brought in the first summer under Brendan Rodgers. He was signed off by Ange Postecoglou. He was one of the players that was brought in that was already signed off by Ange, and Brendan Rodgers came in and said, yep, if he's one of the players that we're taking, yep, I'll go on that. He's one of the few of the merry band that was brought in that summer to still be around the squad. I think that he will be off this summer. I can't see him breaking into the team for some unknown reason. Liam Scales has played okay during points. He has improved, but he's just not still good enough. We need a Carl Starfelt type player, and we don't have that in the squad. Cameron Carter-Vickers, well, the big man was right up for the fight yesterday. Literally, he was ready for boxing anybody. And I think that he was the only highlight of the first half, him and Cal Mack, and that was it. Tony Ralston, he'll be at the club to make up the Scottish contingent next year, which means we need at least a minimum of 3 defenders brought in. A minimum of 3 defenders brought in this summer. It's going to be a massive summer for Celtic. When we look at the midfield, way short. We only had Luke McCowan, who was able to come on in the midfield 3. Brendan Rodgers likes to play this 3 in midfield, and we only had Luke McCowan to come on in the midfield. With Arne Engels only being 21-year-olds, Paulo Bernardo being just a couple of years older. Rio Hatate was out injured. He will be sold this summer. I still stand by that. I think that this is the last that we've seen Rio Hatate and Dyson Maeda. Callum McGregor will come back, and James Forrest. Having to rely on James Forrest, who at his old age is injury prone. He's past it as well. He's not past it. He can still do a job, but having to rely on James Forrest and Callum McGregor, Arne Engels was brought in on a big price tag, but he's going to be sold for a big price tag. But he's not got that bit of steel about him. I think that we do need someone a little bit older in midfield when Rio Hatate leaves, with a bit of steel that can grab the game by the balls and move forward. When you look at the front 3, obviously Jota was out injured, and he's a big, massive loss for Celtic going into the start of next summer. Jota's not going to be around until around about Christmas. He's not expected back until January. Adam Ida, for as good as Adam is, he's a second-class striker. He's backup striker. He's not a number 1. Adam Ida's not a number 1. He's a number 2 if you're playing 2 up front. Now, the inability of Celtic to break down at any team when they go to a back 5 has been shown paramount yesterday. And playing 3 up front is not the answer. When we go to a back 5, when teams go to a back 5, you need to switch it up and go to 2 up front. It's the only way you can do it. This nonsense about it should allow strikers to do this. It should allow midfield players to come in. It didn't. We need 2 strikers through the middle. I've been a big advocate of 3-5-2 for years. I just think that when teams go to a back 5 like that, tactically, you need to go to a 3-5-2. And we don't have that capability. We did have on the pitch yesterday, but Brendan Rodgers wants to play one through the middle, so be it on his head. Nico Kuhn has been an enigma the second half of the season. The first half of the season, Nico Kuhn was brilliant. Nico Kuhn was fantastic. he showed what everything that Brendan Rodgers talks about. Shows that you got a pre-season in you, you start the season well, you kick on as a player, and then Nico Kuhn must have read a few paper headlines in December. Newcastle are after Nico Kuhn for 20 plus million. Jota's coming back to Celtic. Nico Kuhn went into easy mode. He slipped into easy mode. Yang, he's had one good week in a season because his missus come over and fucking shagged him. Come on. Another one that was brought in by Ange Postecoglou. Remember that. Yang was brought in by Ange. But anyway, then we've got Johnny Kenny, who came in through Ange also and went out on loan. A young guy that hasn't had a lot of first team experience at Celtic. And then there was Dyson Maida yesterday. Who, getting kicked all over the park, didn't fancy getting into a fight, which was unlike Dyson throughout the season. Usually when Dyson gets kicked a couple of times by players, it motivates him. I'm fucking going to be even faster. I'm going to do this, I'm going to attack even more. I'm going to get down the wing, even when he went through the middle. When Dyson Maida went through the middle, you never see him. People aren't criticising Dyson Maida. When Adam Ida went off and Brendan Rodgers put Dyson Maida through the middle, Dyson never done anything. He couldn't get the ball. We couldn't get the ball to Dyson Maida. But because it's Adam Ida, he's shite. Dyson Maida was then put back out to the wing to bring Johnny Kenny on to try and make a difference through the middle. Johnny Kenny was unlucky with his header. I think if he'd got a better connection with his header, that could have went in the back of the net. Listen, Jeffrey Schlupp hits the crossbar, rattles the crossbar. Arnie Engels hits the outside of the post, hits the post. There's these fine margins of the game yesterday is what cost us. And that comes down to quality. Now, what it shows me is the squad is too small. That's your first team squad. I've just mentioned your entire first team squad. It's not big enough. Brendan Rodgers says, I like a smaller squad. It doesn't work in Scottish football. It works if you've got fantastically good players, like what Martin O'Neill had, like what Tommy Burns had. Players that you knew that could change a game and could ultimately, turn on the style, pile on the agony. There's too many players. Brendan Rodgers, a quote from Brendan Rodgers earlier on this season. Brendan Rodgers said that we're coming to the end of an era. And we are coming to the end of an era. And I think this summer will be, it is the end of that era. Because we missed out on the treble. We missed out on a ninth treble. We missed out on a world record-breaking ninth treble. What a sad thing to miss out on, it is about levels of expectancy and, missing out on a treble. For other fans coming onto the channel and saying, ha ha ha, you's lost. We lost out on a treble. Adam Ida, 9 million. Engels, 11 million. Trusty, 6 million, says Green Smoke. January window came back to haunt us yesterday. Craig, you are absolutely spot on with that. I've said it since then. I thought that we were let down. Definitely let down in the January window. It's not been a brilliant season. Football's been rotten for a chunk of the season. Tactics rotten to watch, says Green Smoke. I'd probably go with you that. And then Green Smoke, that takes me back to my comment earlier on in the video about Alex Ferguson, and he changed his number 2 every couple of seasons. Manager stayed the same, players came and went, but he changed his number 2. But they kept on winning. They kept on getting to the later stages of the Champions League. They knew how to do it. Have Celtic become stale? There's the poll question. There's the poll. Does Brendan Rodgers need a change of backroom staff? Yeah, I totally get it, Green Smoke, because at Celtic Park, too many teams sit back. Too many teams sit back and play the back five. You go to Celtic Park and it is a bore to watch sometimes. But like what Fergie did, we don't change our backroom staff. We've had the same backroom staff since forever. When was the last time that we had a change of backroom staff? You can't continually keep on doing the same things and expect different results, right? Ange Postecoglou came in. He did nothing on the training pitch. He did nothing. Ange said that himself. This is Ange's own words. John Kennedy takes the training. He does everything on the training field. He organises it. He does everything. I come in at the end of the week, see what players are playing great, pick the team. Brendan Rodgers does the same. The backroom staff, when Brendan Rodgers was here his first time, he had someone different in the backroom staff, didn't he? Who's now the Birmingham manager. Sacking Kennedy on a lifetime deal somehow. Yeah, it's not the backroom staff to do freshen up one or two positions, in my opinion. I think that it's still, Flying Column says, still a tough one to take along this morning, but we'll survive. Yeah, Brown Warrior says, I think we'll become overly reliant on one system and one approach. It's been an issue under Brendan previously, as well as Ronnie and Ange. I think we need to have a three-system approach to domestic and Europe. When you look at, there was a team that Martin O'Neill had back in the day that played 3-5-2, and I remember that Martin O'Neill had such a big squad. There was 27 first team players, and Brendan is talking about his smaller. He likes a smaller squad. The smaller squad hasn't helped. The smaller squad only really works if you're a Barcelona or a Real Madrid, a Bayern Munich, Dortmund, teams like that have quality right through every position. We don't have quality right through every position. A club like us should be able to adopt to 4 or 5 formations, in my view, says McLaughlin P. Gary says, get over it. It was one game, pick ourselves up and go again. I think we are getting over it, Gary. I think it's we're talking about what have we learned. The video is the 1st and 15th, not a bad return from Celtic. But the thumbnail says, what have we learned about the game yesterday? And I think that we've learned a lot about the game yesterday and about the players and about the management and the inability to adapt. Brendan Rodgers will say, it's the players, they never played fast enough. The one-touch passing wasn't there. We didn't try and make space. We didn't move the ball fast enough about the front. When we did start doing that towards the end of the game, it was like, well, why not do that for 45 minutes of the second half during normal time? I'd rather have a 35-year-old Rodgick than the current midfield. Green for go. You've got to remember that Callum McGregor came through with Tom Rodgick, Near Bitten, Bruni, that type of player. Callum McGregor learned off of them. He doesn't have that level of player with him now, and this has been my thing all season. Are these players, if these were boxers, are they punching above their weight? Yes, I think so, and I think that's the reality. I think there's a lot of players at the club right now punching above their weight. There's a lot of players that we've sold on. That's proof in the pudding that when they're at Celtic, they punch above their weight. When they go to another club, they're just not as good, are they? It's okay punching above your weight and being good in the Scottish League, but then ultimately when they get sold for 25 million and they go to other clubs, they're generally not as good. Kyogo can't get in the team in Rennes. Phenomenal striker in Scotland was Kyogo, but can't get in the team in Rennes. So what does that tell us? You know, it tells us that is the quality of the league poor, ultimately? Is the quality of defending in the league terrible? Is the back five? And are our players really as good as what we think they are? You know, there's all these questions that can come in after a game like yesterday. Not that fast though, just pathetic style of play for me. Pass amongst our back. It's killing us and boring to watch, win or lose. But that comes down to the type of players that we've got. And they're just not good enough. But then how do you get past a back 10 sitting in front of a box? Fast attacking football. One touch pass. You know, taking 2 or 3 touches, it's not good. And it is crap to watch. And then it comes down to the manager. It comes down to the backroom staff. John Kennedy sitting on his arse, you know, and Brendan Rodgers just motivating the team. It's enough. Brown Water says, I love the fact that we signed McCown. He's a die-hard Tim, etc. But the fact he's miles off the level we require. Move forward. He gets caught in possession far too readily for me. Yeah, he does. And he was brought in just for the Scottish contingent, and it's going to be an interesting summer. Lanky says some of them need to step up. We definitely need to improve. I think when we look at improvement, I would say we need a real warrior, and we need someone big, strong, athletic, warrior type in midfield. We need a prolific striker that's a John Hartson type, you know, that's got a bit of muscle about him, that can mess it up with defenders. We need the ability. This comes down to systems again. Brendan Rodgers sticking with the tried and tested, and he'll say, but it's worked all season. You know, it works for other clubs. Well, it didn't work for Manchester United in Europa final when they played against a back five of Ange Postecoglou's team. And I bet it was the first time in Ange's life. And where did he learn that? Well, of course, he learned it when all these other teams, when Aberdeen, when Kilmarnock, when Dundee United, when Ross County, you know, Hibernia and Hearts all go to a back five. Brendan Rodgers, Ange Postecoglou went, I'll have some of that. I was shouting at the telly, don't cross Taylor for fuck's sake. We move forward, we sell our best, then start from the beginning once again. I've said before, we're missing players like Virgil van Dijk, Wanyama and Griff. Definitely, Griffiths type player. We don't have a Griff. Even Kyogo wasn't like Griff. And I think yesterday when Dyson Maeda tried to slot the goal past the keeper, he should have chipped it like Henrik. Should have chipped the ball over the keeper. The keeper's come away out. Dyson Maeda's 1-on-1 with the keeper. You chip the keeper all day long. A good striker chips the keeper. Dyson's not an out-and-out striker. And I think that was shown yesterday. A top quality first class striker that plays the striking position week in, week out, 52 weeks of the year, a 1-on-1 with the keeper that far out, doesn't try and slot it past him. He lobs the keeper. He lobs the keeper all day long. Correct me, Ange Stoll, SPFL team, 11-man lockdown tactic. Yes, he did. He did that. He did that to win Europa. If team sits back, the only way to change is pumping the ball into the box and hope for a bit of luck. We don't have players enough. That's why we pass it about. But you don't have, when you've only got one central striker and he's surrounded by 4 defenders, pumping the ball into the box is not the answer. That's why we pass it side to side and try and... The players didn't move fast enough. Let's face facts. They took too many touches on the ball. I said it before the game yesterday. The first 15 minutes, if you see Liam Scales taking 3 or 4 touches and then passing the ball, it sets the tone for the team. When we play well and when we break down teams, 1 touch pass, One touch pass. Fast. You know, even if it's side to side, it's one touch pass. It gets the ball moving faster. We were far too slow yesterday, and I warned you about that before the game even started. And Kyogo chips the keeper. We haven't seen that before at Hampden. We never replaced him in January. Craig, yep, we never replaced him in January. Stephen says, when have you seen players first pump this season? The bond seems to have gone a lot. I think it's not the fact that the bond is gone, Stephen. I think it's the fact that the squad is coming to a natural end of its lifespan. I said that it would happen after the 9 in a row season. I said that there would be the 9 in a row season would be the final call for a lot of players at Celtic, and it was. You know, they'd got to that. They'd got to the 9. The 9 was what was mattered. Breaking records and getting to the 10, it's not really the foreign players and a lot of other players were like, it was a step too far. 9 was the one, and there was always going to be changes in that season, and there was massive changes that season, and changes that didn't make us better. I think that this is a chance for us to regroup. We're still league champions. Listen to us. We're still league champions. Do you know, we won the league by a fantastic amount of points. We're 55 times Scottish champions. We're talking about the fact that we've had an inability to win a treble. And if that's our standards, if that's the standards, come on. Chin up this morning, shoulders back, get in about it. That's a different level of standards. And I think that we need to take that going into the summer. This game yesterday was disappointing in the fact that we lost, and it was the chance to have a world record in trebles, and we've still got that. You know, we can still go for that. It's not done and dusted. It's not the end of an era. We're not going to go into a massive decline now. We're not going to go into a Seth Conan dramatic decline of winning absolutely nothing. Nothing in particular. Say it again. A lot of the players were just going through the motions yesterday, says Paul Bear. Yep, they were that. They were just going through the emotions because they know that they're not going to be there next season. But what we do need to do is we need to bring in players that can entertain the fans. Players like Jota, who can take on a player or two. But we need more players like that. We don't need just one we don't need just Jota and a Kyogo. We need 2 or 3 Jotas. We need a couple of Kyogos, a couple of Lee Griffiths. You know, we need someone in midfield like Scott Brown who can just control a game. Where does that come from? I don't know. That's up to Brendan Rodgers and his backroom staff to sort out this summer. But anyway, that's it. I'm going to end up this poll. We need 6 votes. Come on, there's been an abundance of people. There's been 1,000 people online this morning. There's currently 248 watching. There's been over 1,000 people watched the video so far. I need another 5 votes. Does Brendan Rodgers need a change of backroom staff? And because there was a comment in the video earlier saying Brendan Rodgers is not an elite manager. And I'm saying, well, what is an elite manager out there? Because there's teams like Spurs who've had so-called elite managers at them over the years and won absolutely nothing in the English Premiership. You're right, Baz. Reflection on a successful season is, in truth, it is. It's all about standards, isn't it? I'd rather be disappointed at not getting a treble than being 20 points behind in the league, finishing second in the league and not winning anything. One more vote, please, and we'll close that down. Does Brendan Rodgers need a change of backroom staff? I think he does, personally. I think that we need to be able to mix it up. And there we go, there's the 100 votes. We need a younger James Forrest on the wing. Yep. We need someone who could take on players on the outside. Yep. We do that. Expect a good thing from Ricardo. From very little seen, very promising. Yes. Bring Bruni in as number 2. Let Kennedy go to air. Oh dear. Bruni is number 2, then manager. Scott Brown will not come to Celtic as number 2. He wants to take his own career path. And I think we should allow him to do that. Anyway, Where's the doctor guy? Never heard of him since he came in. Hi Baz, Bernardo was a total passenger yesterday, says James. Yep, he was that. Brown Warrior. Take nothing for granted, folks. You can't win them all. Finals are notoriously difficult. Keep winning. Aberdeen needed that one more than Celtic, so fair play to them. Brown Warrior, you're completely correct. You're going to get the last. I'm going to stay on for the hour. I'll stay on for the hour. There's 11 minutes to go. Time to get pissed. At this time in the morning on a Sunday, it's time to go off on holiday. Yeah, we'll just finish it up there. Anyway, thank you to everyone who has watched the video this morning. Just a little bit of reflection about the team. Some comments from people that never get on the lives, and some comments from some Sefconian fans that are in total laughter at the fact that we've won a double. Anyway, Lanky get the last comment. This season, winning the 55th title was more crucial than going for the treble. Plus, we've done very well in the Champions League this season. We've been superb, apart from yesterday. Now we bounce back even stronger. We do that. And have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.